Okay, take two. We had a little bit of an issue here. Okay, hello and welcome to Horticulture Happy Hour. My name is Wayne Hobbs. I'm the environmental horticulture agent for the University of Florida IFAS Extension Clay County. And every week for the past few weeks, I've been taking an opportunity every Thursday afternoon to kind of talk about some different horticultural topics and how they relate into mixology, how you can use plant products more in your favorite beverages. So today we're going to take a look at a fall favorite. It's beautiful weather here, about 60 degrees, day before Halloween. Nice, great breeze going through this room here. Um, and with fall, one of the things I always think about, honestly, is pumpkins. Pumpkins are one of those things that whenever somebody sees it, they think of fall. We have different flavors in the form of pumpkin spice, which to me doesn't really taste like pumpkins. We'll talk about that later. But honestly, pumpkins are one of those quintessential things about Halloween and the harvest season. Here at our house, actually, all the pumpkins we have are of the plastic variety, mainly because Florida is a little bit challenging when it comes to jack-o'-lanterns. First time moving here, I actually bought a pumpkin, carved it about October 1st, put it on the porch, and within a week it was basically rotted, flies on it, everything like that. So from here on out, basically we carve up foam lanterns every year and kind of do as an annual thing. We keep adding to our pumpkin patch in front of our house, and they take Halloween kind of seriously on the night for trick or treating here. We have a lot of trick or treaters stop by, so we lay at the house, and those pumpkins are always part of the display. But to get into pumpkin growing in Florida, you can actually grow your own real pumpkins, and it should not be that difficult. Big thing, honestly, first of all, is proper timing. Pumpkins here, to have them ready for the fall, usually need to be planted in March to July. Earlier in the season, to have them ready for earlier uses. If you're trying to grow pie pumpkins for things like Thanksgiving, you can move it towards the end of that growing season. Also in Florida, the other key is getting the right varieties. A lot of the varieties, like most vegetables, the varieties that do really well up north, and even those like giant, massive, hundreds of pounds pumpkins don't tend to do well here. What you're mainly looking for are smaller pumpkins that are quick to harvest. But there are a lot of really great options. One of the most popular ones is Seminole pumpkins, which is actually a Florida native. Grows a very sweet flesh, can be used for pies and baking and things like that. And now, if you're growing pumpkins, you do want to locate them like your vegetable garden. You want to give them an area with full sun, well-drained soil, and a lot of room to move, because if you've ever grown pumpkins before, those vines really do take off. So give them a lot of space to grow in, um, and then monitor them as they go along. And basically, you're usually ready to harvest just around when the flesh is actually just soft enough to make a dent with your fingernail. That's one way to look at it. And then they can be used in a variety of ways. For example, you can get them, carve them for your jack-o'-lanterns. That's always one option, but sometimes, like I said, you want to do that pretty close to Halloween if you're in Florida, because our heat, humidity, things like that definitely do not lead to the longevity of a carved pumpkin. You also can grow your smaller varieties, your pie pumpkins, the ones with sweeter flesh, for a lot of things with baking. They do excellent with that, or you can roast the seeds, an extra food treat. Now, you can also use them in some mocktails and drinks. I've seen some recipes. I've personally tried them. For me, it's not my favorite thing ever, because that puree adds a little bit of a mouthfeel that I'm not a big fan of. But to kind of bring it into the horticulture happy hour side of things, part of fall for me is also the advent of pumpkin spice. I know it's kind of overblown in media about pumpkin spice season running from, seems like, August all the way through Thanksgiving now. But I like to use it in a variety of different ways. So one way I actually really like to use it is as a syrup. So I usually make my own pumpkin spice syrup. So with this, it is a one-to-one simple syrup, usually with cinnamon, cloves, fresh ground nutmeg, and a little bit of ginger. That ginger gives a little bit of extra heat and makes it stand out. Fun thing is, I'll mention this later on in a future episode, but I actually do modify this slightly once I get into after Thanksgiving, add in some allspice and use it more as a holiday syrup, because that allspice really has more of a December, Christmas type flavor. So usually start off with this. This is pretty simple. Take equal parts sugar and water, heat them up or put them in a blender, basically to get that sugar to dissolve. If it's heated, put in your spices, let them steep. Here I actually have them still in the bottle, allow them to emulsify more, and really put that flavor into the syrup. The other option here is, if you aren't using it heated, you can just place them in here, let them sit. The longer they sit, the more flavor ends up in your syrup. And my favorite place to put this is still, honestly, in my morning coffee. Instead of sugar, I'll put a little bit of different syrups I have. This is one of my favorites. Gives you that nice pumpkin spice flavor, without having to purchase and try to. It's honestly can get pretty expensive going through all the commercial options to find the one you like. Sometimes I get pumpkins. I've had pumpkin spice things places, and honestly, I think taste too much like pumpkin and not enough like spice. But this tends to fit really well. Now for the mocktail tonight, I'm actually going to use something a little bit different that I like to make up, and this is known as gardenia mix. This is a fully non-alcoholic virgin variety of that, but basically this adds a little bit extra to that pumpkin spice, that fall flavors for some extra richness. What this is basically honey, butter, and then the pumpkin spice syrup with a little bit of vanilla syrup too. So for this, to make up this, I believe this is right around 3 ounces. I actually have about, I believe it's around, I think it's around 2 ounces of butter, or no, 1 ounce of butter, 1 ounce of honey, and then about an ounce and a half, or an ounce of the pumpkin spice syrup, and then about a half ounce of vanilla syrup. So what this makes is an extra sweet and rich flavor, but it does work really well in mocktails. It works well in a lot of different things. Actually makes amazing coffee, because what's better than honey butter to start your day? Definitely not a healthy option, but it is really good. So we're going to make a little mocktail today with this. This is actually one I have not made yet, so my proportions may be a little bit off. So I'm going to be working on the recipe as I go. And then, I don't know why we just went blurry. Um, what's it focusing on? Oh, was that it? Okay. Well, we might have to work with that. So basically, with this syrup, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a few things. We're going to kind of go back to that mocktail 101 lesson where we talked about one of sour, two of sweet, and then some dilution. So I'm going to start off with actually pre-measured out about a half ounce of lime juice, and I'm using a different type of tin. I'll show you what that's for in a minute. Oh, great, we're not blurry anymore. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in about a half ounce of this syrup. Now, that old rhyme I told you about in the last one of sour, two of sweet. This is something where I'm going to start off on the lower level because I'm afraid if I put 1 ounce in this, it is going to overpower everything. So I'm going to put in about a half ounce of this gardenia mix. Said it's measured butter, and there are different ways to make this. The big key is to make sure it fully emulsifies, because if you don't mix it up right, the key here is to add in the butter a little bit at a time. Usually pre-melt the butter, put it into a blender with your syrups, and run the blender small amounts over time so it fully emulsifies and breaks down, because otherwise you'll end up with big clumps of curds and butter in your drink, and it's not that great. So I got those two. And the next step we're going to add into this is pineapple juice. So then I'm using canned pineapple juice, and we will do pineapples as a class in this series later on. And we're going to try this out with 3 ounces of pineapple juice. So we'll do two. You notice I did shake the can of pineapple juice. That's a quick little tip, because sediment builds up in the bottom, and you do not want that to ruin your cocktail or end up with a lot of watery, non-pineapple tasting stuff at the start and then a lot of pulp at the end. You can use fresh juice pineapple if you have the time and ability to do that. I don't have a commercial juicer for it yet, so I tend to use canned. And then we're going to add in some ice. You do want to chill this down, and this is going to help dilute it out because we have a lot of flavor in there right now. And a little bit more. Now to mix this, I'm not going to use my tins this week. I actually, because I'm using pineapple, I think I just knocked over some cinnamon. I'm going to use my Hamilton Beach. This is from the 20s, but it's a great tool to have if you're a mixologist. Take my tin. Give it a little agitation. I was trying to just get a little bit of good froth here with the pineapple juice, because it will froth up pretty nice. And I also found that shaking, I end up with more. I always feel like I get more clots out of the gardenia mix. Now to finish this off, I'm actually going to use a little bit of a festive mug because it is the day before Halloween. Pour into here. And we are going to try this out for the first time. Like I said, I'll work on the recipe and post it. I might actually do a little blog and another post about this. So mix it up like this in our drink. Always have some fun with our garnish. Got a pineapple top down here. I always love pineapple fronds for garnish. Give them a little mohawk. I think that might be my last. Drop the pumpkin. In there, give him a fun little mohawk. You could also add in anything like the last week with burning cinnamon, something like that. Let's give this a try and see where we're at. Okay, that's pretty solid. What I'm trying to get at here is more of a flavor of kind of like a pineapple upside down cake in a mocktail form. Right now, it's actually a little strong on the pineapple side of things. Actually, the gardenia mix is showing up at the end. It's a little tart. So this is one where actually I'm going to go ahead and take an opportunity. Don't do this if you're serving it to other people because you just had your mouth on the straw. But I'm actually going to go ahead and add in another ½ ounce of this gardenia mix to give it a little more sweetness and a little more of that butter and honey mouthfeel that I like. So I'm not going to bother moving this over the My mixer might need a tune-up. Pour that in. Give it another shot. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so I'll keep working on this, come up with some flavors to try to really make this work out. I think I actually need to cut back on the lime a little bit. But that's part of the fun of mixology is playing with those different ingredients, seeing where you need to get to where you really like it. And also one thing I like to do is actually have my wife or kids try out the different mocktails, see how they like it, to see if where their palate is, and make sure I'm going to be able to make it for other people too. But overall, like I said, I'm trying to get that, has that really strong honey mouthfeel. The butter's in there, the spices are coming forward, and it all mixes well with that pineapple. Like I said, kind of get that pineapple upside down. This actually stuff works really well with orange juice too. Surprisingly, you don't think butter and citrus ever go together, but in this context, if you're using something like gardenia mix where it's well emulsified, it does work pretty well. So that's kind of the end of the class for tonight. Next. I'm going to be posting up when our next classes are coming up. Might have a little bit of alteration in schedule because I have some family responsibilities on Thursdays at around this time for the next few weeks. My daughter is entering into her, she does high school weightlifting, so she has her meets on Thursdays. So I might have to modify the schedule a little bit, but we'll keep posting it on Facebook. I've been seeing a lot of people viewing the videos after the live events, which is great. Continue to do those. And if you ever notice the videos are disappearing off of Facebook, there's something with Facebook Live where they do disappear after 30 days. And I'm taking the opportunity to actually edit them down a little bit and move them over to our YouTube page. And I'll start re-listing them on Facebook and Instagram as we go. So make sure to follow us on all the socials. Make sure to check out our YouTube, which is UF IFAS Extension Clay County. And hope to see you in future lessons. And I hope you have a very happy Halloween and a great week. Thank you.